What's up, my witches? It's me. I'm here. I'm alive. and I'm here for a vlog to let you know what's been happening, to catch up with you, to reconnect with you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goddess. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely brutal. Um, I was already having a rough time, as we all have been, But 2 weeks ago, um, I think it's exactly 2 weeks ago today. Um, my daughter's father passed away, not my husband, and her adoptive father, my ex husband, who left when she was 18 months old. And it was sudden. I hadn't clapped eyes on the man in 26 years, I think, more maybe. But it was a relationship that had a lot of trauma, and there was still just a lot of and no matter how many years it's been and how much work I've done and how good a marriage I have now and how much I love my husband now, the one that stayed, Cliff, he's the winner. um it really hit hard. And someone passes and you start looking back, but you can't find the good things without finding the trauma as well. And we found out about it on a Wednesday night. By Friday, all of my disorders were kicking off. And I had, sorry for the details, but I had diarrhea all day on Friday. It was my body just purging, 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 and also stress. I have IBS, so all of that. Um, And if you've been watching for a while, you know about my disorders and you know that I talk about them. I don't like to talk about them, but I talk about them because it's information. And, other people that may be dealing with these things that are either feeling down on themselves or not understanding what's going on. I talk about what I go through so that maybe if you need that information, it's there for you. I just have to put it out. So the IBS was kicking off, the Epstein Barr was kicking off. Um, and every 3 months, I get a cortisone shot. I have adrenal insufficiency. And when my body gets very stressed, I don't have cortisone in my system to balance the adrenaline. Like my adrenal cortex goes, eh. And all there is adrenaline. And then I have panic attacks. And I mean to tell you, this was a stretch of 2 ER visits. Um, the first one was a week after he passed, and we went to the ER because I woke up in the morning, my heart slamming. I was waking up in cold, clammy sweats with my heart pounding. And we took my blood pressure, and it was really high, and it was like 160 something over 98 or something like that. And so I said, let's go. And we went, and I had dug around and found Xanax from 2019 when I had dental work and when my mom passed away, and took some of that. And by the time we got to the ER, things were calming down. Um, Triaged me, put us in the waiting room. And as I sat there and started to calm down, I said to my husband, who had already said, I think this is a panic attack, because it's like I'm dying, I'm having a heart attack. And I said to him, you're right, this is a panic attack. I feel things calming down. Let's go. Because the ER was full. So, I mean, to the point where there was someone sitting in the waiting room with an IV drip in, wrapped in a blanket. So, yeah, no rooms. So we went home, and the panic attacks continued. Um, every morning, waking up in cold, clammy sweats, just heart pounding. And I would go through these things of just racing thoughts. I mean, my mind never quits anyway. Quack, 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 quack. But racing thoughts every day, just getting through. And by the afternoon, I'd feel better. And see what this tells me now that I'm talking about it out loud. There's another reason I do this. I realize things when I hear myself saying stuff. Um, cortisone levels or cortisol levels in the morning are supposed to be up here, and then they kind of go like this. So that tells me that I had zero cortisone in my system to balance this, and all it was adrenaline waking me up. And so we go through, we get to Monday, this past Monday, and I woke up with it. Wait, I'm missing a whole part of this. Well, let me finish this little chunk. Um, I woke up with it. It was so severe. My blood pressure was really high. And I told my husband to call the squad because they will come and do an EKG where you are, and they'll tell you if you're in trouble or not. They make the recommendation, and it's like when you're in a panic attack, your brain does not work on a practical level. It's just freaking out. And so they took my blood pressure. It was super high. I don't remember what it was, but they recommended that they transport me. And that morning I was also having pain. I was having pain down my arm. I have stenosis in my neck. I get pain down my arm all the time. But when you combine everything, it's like, you know. So I do remember on the way to the hospital, my blood pressure peaked at 191 over 136. So yeah, it was about to pop. And I got there, they tested for the heart attack protein. There wasn't anything there. It's, not a heart attack. My husband knew this. My family, they knew, and I was listening to them, but still. So they gave me stuff to calm things down, sent me home. And then I had a doctor's appointment the next day. Thank God. My wonderful, amazing, incredible doctor who is a small c Christian. He walks the talk. And I want to start crying now. He's such a generous and wise and competent man, skillful, incredibly skillful. And there's so much trust. And so I went to see him and I got my cortisone shot. And last night, I slept a normal sleep for the first time in a couple of weeks. Um, and I'm feeling like me again today, just before the new moon, thankfully. But anyhow, let me wind back a little bit just to tell you about process. So I go through that first week, and then Wednesday, the panic attacks really started getting bad. Thursday was, kind of the same thing. Friday morning, I got up, and it was so bad. It was so bad. And I mean, it's unbearable. The feeling is just unbearable, and there's nowhere to run. And I went downstairs, and I'm sitting there, and Cliff is in the kitchen, and this is where I'll tell you too. You've probably heard this a few times. I do isolation. I'm a Plutonian. I've got Scorpio rising, and I've got that ruling planet Pluto sitting on my midheaven conjuncting Mercury, opposing my moon, opposing my soft, squishy Pisces moon. So that Pluto and Mercury, that unstoppable mind, just sits on my emotions. Smush, you know? And so even if I know I have to cry, even if I know I've got to get to this, I can't get to it. So instead of isolating, I called my husband and said, "Come here, I need you." And we sat on the couch and I just melted into his arms and started to sob. My daughter was here, and so she doesn't live here, my son does, but my daughter was here too. And we ended up on our bed in just a puddle while I just blasted out my soul from the bottoms of my feet. And it was so healing and good, and it moved me forward into the realization of just how very isolated I've become through the onslaught. We're all going through it. You know what I'm talking about here. The other stuff is my stuff. This is where you know what I'm talking about. So I had already backed way off of anything political, but this was like, okay, I'm on a fast now. Absolutely nothing. I'm not even listening to news headlines. And and then my husband said, okay, here's some things that I see. you doing? So I listen and to his wisdom, and he's like, you need to get outside. You don't go outside the house. So going out and sitting on the porch in the morning to have my coffee, looking and listening to the woods, and just getting back to me. But see, that was 3 days before the big, 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 massive panic attack. So, I started going outside and doing those things, but the reality, pardon me, the reality of it was that the hormones were not balanced, and as my doctor said, it's your neurotransmitters just freaking out, just chaos. So now, now that I've gone through all that and had the cortisone shot, and there's still a grief process ongoing, but it's a flowing one. Things are balanced now, but the core for me of this transformation. Let me tell you, the judgment card coming up, and ooh, do I have a deck story for you? Is it's time for me to reconnect, not to the internet, not to news and politics, reconnect to my family, reconnect to my friends, reconnect to my viewers, reconnect to my creativity, to me, coming back home to me. I had split, you know. So here I am coming back, and and oh, the irony, the hits just keep coming. Um, just after I decided, yes, I'm going to spend every morning in the summer out on the porch, we got a notice from our city's health department that they had been testing pools of water around the city for mosquitoes with West Nile virus. And they found 9 that tested positive, and one of them is directly behind our complex. And we are at the back of the complex. We're right on the edge of the woods that I can no longer go into because the ticks are so bad, so bad. And I mean, I got a tick on my porch once, sitting on a chair, and if you go into those woods, it's a guarantee. So I can't go into the woods, and now I'm afraid to even sit on the porch because we've got mosquitoes with West Nile virus. So, you get to that place where things sort of join up, and your crazy thoughts about your disaster head is what I call it. Oh, no, no, everything that can go wrong joins up with, yeah, well, that's actually a real threat. So, but let me tell you, I had gone out when I started going out on the porch. I grabbed this deck. And the first morning I read Inside, and I did a 6-card reading, and the last 3, one of them I can't remember what this one was, but what it said was crying can help you clean your emotions out. And it's like, okay, so this was Saturday morning that I read this. Crying is, wonderful and can help clean you out. And then the one next to it was Azrael, who is known as the angel of death, and it said he shows up when you're in grief. He shows up especially when there's bereavement. And then the last one was Melchizedek. So here's Azrael. Here's Melchizedek. And this deck, gosh, I didn't even tell you, I showed you the book, but it's the Archangel Fire Oracle from Findhorn Press. Wonderful, wonderful deck. And Melchizedek talked about, he's in the diamond ray. The light is so funky here, and I apologize, but I'm not going to change it. I'm sitting in the sunshine. Melchizedek talked about coordinating, integrating all of your timelines in this lifetime. And man, that was a bell ringer right now, because it's like I always talk about alternate lifelines, this alternate lifeline or that, but it talked about integrating those things. So that was in one reading. The next morning, I'm out on the porch, or no, I think I was still up here. And I decided I was going to split and pull. I'm shuffling, 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 and 2 cards fall out of the deck. It's these two dudes, right? So of course that's like, wow, okay, yeah, get message received loud and clear. The next day, um, I'm out on the porch and I was shuffling, and I hadn't decided yet whether I was going to split the deck or whether I was taking them off the top. So it's like, okay, I need to keep shuffling. So I shuffled and shuffled and shuffled and shuffled. And then I split the deck. And there was a card about my creativity, getting back to creativity. Um, it actually said pick up a guitar, sing, which I haven't done in so long. And that is also my soul's gift. And so it's like, okay, I got that. But it was a gentle message. I put it back in the deck. I put the deck down face up on the table, and I put that card on top. And then I finished my coffee. I'm getting ready to go inside, and I go to pick up the deck. And the two cards, they're face up. The two cards that are on the bottom stuck to the table. How much, or let you guess what those two cards were. The same two. It sometimes the messages from spirit get really loud. And this is one of those times. It's one thing when you have a single card that keeps showing up, you know? It's entirely another when you've got this pair. And I mean, I riffle shuffled, I cut shuffled, I shuffled the crap out of this deck. And these two boys showed up each time. So that's when it really gets loud. And Azrael is telling me, you're still in bereavement. Actually, I'm going to read those to you. Let's give you their wisdom. And if you want to know more about this deck, you can go search my content and look it up. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. But it says, known as the angel of death, Azrael isn't at all as scary as his name suggests. In fact, he's perhaps the kindest and gentlest of all the archangels. He's associated with bringing comfort and reassurance in times of intense transition. We are in intense transition right now, all of us. And, this intense transition and this intense transition as well, as we respond and react to, the outer. Azrael not only guides souls that are crossing over, he gently separates the soul from the body at death and sets the spirit free, but he also gives guidance and reassurance to those in the counseling professions. Like Raphael, Azrael can help your heart to heal in times of loss, grief, and hardship. He's especially present during a bereavement. So it's talking about that deep and terrifying change, the ultimate change. And then Melchizedek, so, the validation is just really something. Melchizedek is the universal logos. Like the president of the universe, he represents the overlighting consciousness of our cosmos. And so he's a bit like the grandfather of the archangels. And holy fuck, I just had a big realization. The first guide that I became aware of was one that called my name many times when I was young, like when I was a little kid through high school and after. Um, I would be in a dream. He would call me out of a dream, and I would hear this male's voice just saying, Lisa. And it would wake me up. And I came to call him the master sculptor. Big beard, gray robe, long gray hair. He's purple here, but yeah. Yeah, as soon as I read Grandfather of the Archangels, it's like, oh my God, that is my master guide. And who we. Oh, I also want to read to you just this part. There's the message. Azrael's message says you are at a major point of transition. Release all that is currently falling away with love. Remember that after a death, there always comes rebirth. If you have pulled this card following the loss of a loved one, this message comes as validation that the angels are guiding their way safely through the veil. So, what a message to get, huh? And here's Melchizedek's message. Beloved, this message comes with confirmation that you have now been initiated into the Order of Melchizedek, an etheric lineage of ancient souls who are returning to Earth to assist with the ascension. I am with you always. So, and then down at the back, it says, to embody the divine in human form is the highest level of spiritual attainment we can reach while here on earth. So it talks about embodying your truth. As a Melchizedek soul, your task is to heal and integrate all your timelines within this current lifetime and become one with your God self. So, yeah. So, anyhow, I was going to do a little reading at the end of this, but it's already 20 minutes and I'm not going to do that. This is just strictly to catch up and tell you what's happening and let you know I'm alive and say Happy New Moon, which is tomorrow. We're in, let's see. Ooh, we're just, I don't know if you can see that. You can't. We're just this close to moon dark. And I have a task to do this moon dark. I'm going to be making black salt. We are doing a booth at Odd Mall in September and in Akron. And so I'm making things. And my black salt I'm making on the black moon. I will make my Vesta powder on the next full moon. And yeah, so I have creative things to do today, and I just wanted to start it with reconnecting with you guys. And so please say hi. And I want to thank you. I'm sorry I didn't do this at the beginning. I want to thank everyone who's commented on videos and asked after me when I've been gone. I really appreciate it. It makes me feel very loved. You know, I have such low self-esteem that I just think, why would anybody bother to miss me? You know, and it really does a lot for me. Um, I am in reclaiming mode now. I'm still in recovery mode, but I'm also in reclaiming mode. So I can say that my intention is to create content following the wisdom of my body and what I'm able to do. So once again, thank you for being there. I hope you got through this okay. And hopefully, I will be seeing you again soon. Until then, this is Luna. Blessed be.